Near mint condition, the home of collected editions. And check out that eye, that's exactly what we want to see. Woo, look at that panel, baby. And that, as they say, is that. Hey, all you minties, Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions, and join me today for my overview of the Strange Girl Deluxe Edition hardcover from Image Comics. I'm also going to compare it to that Strange Girl Omnibus we got, not so long ago. So, join me. And welcome back, everybody. So this is an overview, but this book officially comes out on March 4th or 5th, depending on where you get your books. But I do want to go ahead and give you an overview, because I know a lot of people have been asking me about it. The direct market does get it this week, I believe. So there's a difference in the book market and direct market. Now, this book has been previously collected before in a series of 4 trade paperbacks, and then, of course, the single issues. But also in this very rare case where Image put out an omnibus, and now we have a deluxe edition. And if you have the other Rick Remender Image deluxe editions, it is the same size, it's as tall, it's the same dimensions as those books. So adding to that Rick Remender library. But here we have it compared to the omnibus. And Remender, Nguyen, Opeña, Stakal, Berting, Ferritor, and Jaten. And then, of course, some of the key players here, like Bethany and, never mind. There's a couple spoilers I don't want to talk about. 20th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. I find that interesting because in about 5 years, we'll be celebrating 25th Anniversary and then 30th. Oh my gosh, and time just goes by. Now we have this logo, though, the giant generator logo, which is, of course, Rick Remender's company, Strange Girl, the 20th Anniversary Deluxe Edition Image logo, and then, of course, the different folks down there, whereas only Eric Nguyen and Rick Remender took the top billing in this book right here. So the back of the book, you have this one here, retailing for $39.99, while this one over here retails for $59.99. Of course, it's a lot bigger and taller than this book right here. So we'll do a little comparison here in a bit, but let's shift the focus back to this book right here, where we have a new cover by Eric Nguyen. There is no dust jacket, just like the rest of the Rick Remender series. It is just art on board, and it does have a flat spine, which I'm sure you noticed earlier. We're going to crack this book open. I'm going to give you the pitch of this story, and check out the different type of art that's in here, because we do have different artists throughout the book, and then look at the back matter and see if there's anything extra that was added to this book besides that cover compared to the omnibus edition. Alright, let's go ahead and crack it open. We have our end sheets right here, which I know in the original omnibus they actually had like a panel from the inside of the book here. There you have our title, 20th Anniversary Deluxe Edition of Strange Girl, and then created by Rick Remender and Eric Nguyen, and your credits, Rick Remender, of course, writing it, but then you have all these different illustrators like Eric Nguyen, Jerome Opeña, Harper Hatten, Nick Stakal, Micah Ferritor, and then Peter Bergenting. And colorist over here, your lettering, and then the logo design by Todd Klein. And this book collects issues 1 through 18 of Strange Girl and has 512 pages. So here is the introduction that he did for the Strange Girl Omnibus. It's the exact same introduction. As a matter of fact, he refers to this collection as the Omnibus collection, and how being neurotic almost cost him to cancel it because he went back and read it and he wasn't happy with the pacing. And it's so cool to me to see a writer go back and judge his work from the past. He also talks about the character of Bethany and what she means to him, and where the idea of her came from, and where the idea of all this book came from because of his religious background. So, what this book is about, and I guess spoilers, because I do have to talk about the pitch of the book, and the pitch is really interesting to me. So you have the character of Bethany Black, who is this young girl, little teenage girl riding her bike, and she's getting hit on by this guy named Jur, and she's got, this little backpack, this little demon backpack. We don't know what that is yet, but he's afraid to ask her out, and she's like, "You just want to go out with me? I've had a crush on you since the 3rd grade. Let's do it." And she gets home late. Now, when she's at home, she's confronted by her parents about how she shouldn't be hanging out with these kids. They're just a bad influence on her. And you can tell that they have a lot of religious backgrounds, like a lot of Christian beliefs, like you have the statue here of the Blessed Mother. Then, of course, he's the man of the cloth right there, you can see. And, of course, he's holding the Bible. So it's very in your face, right? Like, he's quoting the Bible when he's yelling at his daughter. And what ends up happening is that the rapture happens. So her little brother, her mom and dad are all being shaken up in this house, and then you hear the words, "The Lord thy God calls you to his side on this day of rapture." So they go outside, and sure enough, the sky is green, the neighbors are being taken up to what looks like perhaps heaven, and her mom and brother and dad all get taken up. But she doesn't understand why she's not. Of course, you see, or read rather, or I guess hear, "All the righteous may enter the gates of my heaven." And then this is where the story really begins, because this is when she finds out that Earth will no longer enjoy God's grace or his protection from evil, from Lucifer, and everyone left behind did not faithfully worship enough to enter heaven. So she's stuck here on Earth without her family. She's still a kid, right? And she goes over to her neighbor's house and notices that Tim, the neighbor's kid, is still there. So a bunch of demons come up out of the ground and they start killing people. They just start having at it. And her and Tim are just hiding out in this bunker because their parents were always ready for the rapture, which is interesting because Tim himself is like, "Wait a second, Beth, what if your parents were ready for the rapture, why were they just packing up so much food and so much electronics if they were ready to go to ascend to heaven?" Which is a really good point. Some homeless guy breaks in and he's talking about killing them because he thinks they're little demons, and Tim protects her. And this is when things turn for the worse, because these demons come and find them. And they say, "Kill the boy, but this young girl will be a feisty pet for Lord Belial." And then we wake up 10 years later where it's hell on earth, and that's what's happening. So she lives inside the city limits, where you see a bunch of demons, you see a bunch of just women and men, and she works at this bar where post-rapture 10 years later, it seems like some demons are, I don't want to say getting along, because they use them for like sex slaves and things like that. And some humans exist as slaves, either for labor or, like I mentioned, sex slaves. So there are 3 different types of demons. There's the blue demons, there's the red demons, and then the black demons. And it's not like one is the good guys and one's the bad guys, but she does befriend one of these little blue demons at the bar, and that's Bloato. And it's kind of like her little half-breed pet. His father turns out to be a red demon, and then his mother was a blue demon. So there's a lot of contempt there for some of the red demons down there. So what ends up happening is that you find out that she's special. You find out a little bit later through a series of flashbacks that when she landed here in this realm of Belial, he noticed that she was able to use magic, and not every human can do that. Like, she was able to protect herself by using magic and could read magic. So he, thinks that she's a really special human, so he keeps her as his pet. Well, what happens is that Bethany finds out through Bloato who has heard that there is one more gate. There's one more remaining gate to heaven. And if Bethany can get to it, she might be able to sneak into heaven to be reunited with her family, with her friends. And that gate, of course, is located at the Vatican City. So this whole trip is about her and Bloato joining together, escaping the wrath of this character known as Belial. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've been mispronouncing it, I'm sure. And he sends out his demon hordes. And along the way, of course, they make friends with marauders. They make friends with soldiers. And then, of course, you see how the rest of humanity is dealing with staying here, past, or I guess, post-rapture, and how they have dealt with it, and how some of them are living with these demons, and how some of them had to do whatever it took for them to do to survive in this messed up, upside-down world. And then, of course, you find out about a little bit about Lucifer and how maybe he kind of left this place too to be on its own. But you'll get to see like different characters like Mouse and, like I mentioned, the Marauder. And I don't want to give away who these characters are because I do find their stories really compelling, and it kind of kept me reading and reading. So for the most part, you have Eric Nguyen's artwork, and then you get Jerome Peña's artwork. But then later on, the art style changes a little bit because you have a bunch of the fill-in artists that help wrap up the series. Some of them, I mean, they do share a very similar, uncanny Omar talk pretty one day, similar style to that. Like this one here, this is the call. This one reminds me of like Paul Pope. A lot of contrast here compared to that of Eric Nguyen's art style. And of course, a lot of it also has to do with the colors too. Now, the stories in here are very similar to something that you're going to find in, like, Hellboy. It's like a mix of Hellboy and, like, a road trip kind of story. And I say Hellboy because it shares, to me at least, a very similar type of humoristic style. It is blasphemous, of course, especially when you're talking about the subject matter, but in the same way that, like, Preacher and Spawn are, right? Like, to me, this is just comics. But I understand and respect people that can't read this. It's ultimately up to you. Now, all the way in the back, but we do have some new goodies back here too. Some new variant covers that were not previously collected, at least in the Omnibus edition. The Omnibus edition has 480 pages. This one has 512. So all this is new here, like these new covers, variant covers here, and they do credit who the artist is, and they're done in the frame. You have the character model sheets, not only by Eric Nguyen, but also other artists like Nick Stakal here, and Harper Jatton. And then roughs to pencils. I love the thumbnail sketches, to pencils, and then to inks. Then you have final inks. Of course, this is Jerome Peña. Nick Stakal. Yeah, very Paul Pope-ish. Love it. And then the biographies on these creators. Now, before I compare it, let's look at the build. It is sewn binding, and there's that big eye, and printed in this really thick, glossy paper stock. The Omnibus edition, here, actually, let's go ahead and start comparing it. So these are the end sheets I was talking about. It's her looking at hell on earth, pretty much. And Strange Girl, credits, the introduction. Yeah, the paper stock for the Omnibus edition it's not as thick as this. This actually feels like a Donley paper type of paper stock that you would get in a Marvel Omnibus. But as far as the colors, though, maybe they're just a little bit vibrant over here. And I mean just a tad. I don't even think it even comes across on video, really. But this definitely has more extras. Now, as far as the covers and the way the covers look, they are around a frame in this new printing, or in the deluxe edition rather, and then over here you have them in full splash with just the chapters right there, whereas over here you have it. So you lose a little bit of the artwork, but I mean, to me you just gain a lot more too. And honestly, it all depends on the comfort level too, because I know some people can't like read books like this big, but they're okay with reading something like a deluxe oversized hardcover, which is what this is, right? This is the size of an omnibus, except not as many pages. But that is it. That is Strange Girl, the 20th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. And that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this deluxe edition, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcon at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this book. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking this up, if you already have the omnibus edition, or you have the 4 trade paperbacks, or if you've never read it and just love Rick Remender's comics and you just want to pick up everything in a big oversized format. But that is it, everybody. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Everyone stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.